What is going on, everybody? Welcome to little different horoscope here, but it is a daily. It's going to be the weekend horoscope. It's going to be Monday's horoscope and Tuesday's horoscope. We're going September 21st through the 24th of 2024. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. I appreciate you all so much. I am going to be away from this computer. I'm going to be away from my cell phone. I'm going to be away from a lot of things until Tuesday. So we're going to do it this way, and I will timestamp, of course, the weekend horoscope, Mondays and Tuesdays. So if you want to go back or if you missed this live and whatever the case may be, you can check out the specific horoscopes for that day. But definitely didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I appreciate you all. Hope everybody's doing well. There is a sale going on for those interested in getting a reading with me. It's $100 off. It's a $200 reading for a $300 value. It's good through the end of the month. So September 30th is the last day to book. You can email or direct message me on Instagram at fixedairmoon. The email is, of course, in the description below or on the screen right now. And hope to hear from you. Again, if you don't hear back from me until later on in the evening on Tuesday, it's because I didn't have any devices or anything with me. So I'm definitely taking a little extended weekend. I'm going to try and get right with a lot of things. Not that things are wrong, but just want to do some inner work, So that's what I'll be doing. And I'm going to be in the mountains and doing a ceremony and doing a lot of inner work. So it'll be good. Appreciate you all. Well, let's jump into the weekend horoscope. We'll start with Saturday, of course. And it is kind of an intense Saturday. It's intense because we're at 29 Virgo. We're right on the cusp of the fall equinox. We're making a really nice trine to Pluto. And we're also seeing Venus at 28, getting ready to come to 29 degrees in that big square over to Pluto. Also, Venus even at 28 degrees, Neptune at 28 degrees. There's just a lot of these like cliffhanger sort of energies. So we're sort of cliffhanging into a new season here. And I think, intensity is an interesting thing and like what we're deep diving into. I think it's an interesting Saturday to try to really go deeper into ourselves, of course, but into what we're trying to accomplish with Pluto and Capricorn for the last time in our lives. And really dial things in. Final day of Virgo season. So definitely a Saturday where it's like, okay, we got to go inward. We got to really find what we're passionate about. And I think we got to figure out, too, where we really want to commit. We're also seeing Saturn, final day of 15 degrees of Pisces. So coming back, Saturn's not going to go direct until 12 degrees, 41 minutes in Pisces. But definitely right in that middle of the sign and kind of shifting gears a little bit too and changing up the energy. So interesting for things, and of course Saturn's the dispositor of Pluto, so it's interesting of the like introspective sort of spiritual work that kind of does need to be deeper understood so that if you want physical things, you're right within yourself. And I think not committing to bad patterns, but trying to really break bad patterns, trying to really not self-undo, but self-do in many ways and really grow. And I think that there's a lot of like spiritual growth right now, and it's definitely not one of the easiest times as we're in the, full mix of eclipse season here, but not terrible either. We're seeing the moon in Taurus, which the moon loves to be. So there is this like really nice, sultry, energy that I think we can be really figuring out ways to nurture, take care of ourselves, figuring out different things we can put our emotions into that we do really value. So I do feel like there's this deep dive energy, but it's a deep dive that's very like constructive. And hopefully we're staying away from the self-criticism too much. Again, not by bypassing, by being aware of things is great. But definitely like, pumping ourselves up a little bit. I feel like we got to go deep right now and be like, yes, this is going to be much more ideal for me as just a soul and as a human. and I need to be better for myself. And it's okay that I slipped. It's okay that I didn't do something perfect. It's perfectly okay that you didn't do something perfect. And none of us are perfect. And we're all trying to readjust and kind of figure out different ways to value ourselves through harsher energies, more intense energies. And I think that, again, the more we're able to self-soothe, really get into our values, not get, obliterated with Venus here squaring Pluto right now of some kind of desire that's not even yours. That's what it feels like to me. It's almost like some desire that isn't even yours, that isn't working out, and you're not seeing the progression or getting the rewards for, and having to realize that it was never yours to begin with, and you're trying to hold on to something that isn't yours. And this is a great Saturday, I think, to really put your energy and your passion into what you do identify with as yours, what your value is to you. And I think that those things are going to feel so good. And I do think that we're going to be able to kind of break things down in a constructive way if we're able to do that. But again, there's like this energy of like, somebody did this to me, somebody betrayed me, somebody left me, this thing came at me, the universe did this. And it's like, yeah, all of that stuff maybe did happen, but at the same time, like, you have to take accountability for your reactions and your identification of what's going on with those situations, and make calls in your life, and have boundaries for certain things, and get right with yourself before thinking that it's everything else but you. And I just think that this is going to be a really hard time for people that are in that mentality of everything is out to get you, everything is something else's fault, everything is happening to you from some other energy. And like, we gotta like look at ourselves, too, and be like, well, I did, decide to be in that relationship, or I did decide to be friends with that, or I did decide to, negotiate this contract with this and this. And now it's coming back, and it's like, oh, why? Well, because we made decisions and we made calls, and now it's like accountability time. And it's like very like soul accountability, and just, it's okay too. It's okay that we didn't do things perfect. That's all I'm trying to say. And I think that as long as we're not holding on to some crazy guilt or projection, there's a lot of positivity there. The moon's going to finish with Uranus, hopefully finishing off the day feeling very liberated, and feeling very good about ourselves, and being able to individuate and make calls on our own and decisions on our own, and not do things that everybody else is doing or wanting us to do, but doing things that we feel like is right, and bringing that healing energy into our own lives. The moon's also going to trine Mercury today. Mercury is coming off the exact square to Jupiter. So again, it's one of those things where like the mind can be all over the place. There can be so many different thoughts, but we do want to quiet some of the noise so that we can hear the important stuff, the big stuff. And the big stuff might be the most small things. And you might think it's going to be a big thing, but it's actually just something small. And it's like, just pay attention to the little things right now. The big things are going to work themselves out with every small step and every small understanding and every small thing that you do. Nothing has to be, the Great Wall of China in one day in our lives right now. Step by step. And we can be really hard on ourselves because we're not stepping fast enough, or we're not, hitting goals or hitting ideals fast enough, or the healing's taking too long. And it's not, that's our own perception, and we're being too critical. So we kind of want to like drop some expectations, not necessarily for ourselves, but for the world and the environment around us, so that we can have a much more clear understanding of what is going on within ourselves, and be able to express things, and not, feel so, jumbled up mentally that we can't even, voice our opinion on a matter, or voice something that does really feel good to us. So we want to be careful of that. And Venus is very tight in that yod with Neptune and Uranus, and the moon will be a piece of that yod this evening, coming into Sunday morning. So just so interesting about this Venus in Libra, and just getting direct, hit, finger of God, and dispositing a south node, and we're having a solar eclipse at 10 degrees of Libra. So like we're having to really rebalance our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to the things that we know are good for us, that we want to have, to our goals. And like it's not rebalancing by just negotiating your freedom away. It's rebalancing things to take your freedom back. And I think it comes from a very deep, like knowing, a very deep spiritual place of like what's good for you right now. And I don't know, it's interesting. People are going to probably do things that you're just not going to expect. And you just have to be okay with not having control over situations outside of yourself. Because it's interesting with people right now with Venus squaring Pluto and being in this yod. Like there's a lot of deep truths being uncovered. A lot of like really seeing what someone's soul intentions are, and if they're actually a tribe member, if they're actually someone that's on the same vibe, same frequency. And even if like our goals and our values and the things that we're building relationships to outside of people, are those really matching up with our soul? Are they really matching up with an individuated sense of self? And are they really connecting with others in that realm? Or is there weird disconnects going on and almost trying to force square pegs into a round hole? And we want to be careful about the forcing of things, because that's, again, this Pisces lunar eclipse. Like, you can't force too much with Pisces. It's the fish. If you squeeze a fish too hard, and I've been doing a lot of fishing with Sterling lately, and I can tell you when he squeezes the fish too hard trying to hold it, it squeezes right out of his hand, and I got to figure it out how to get it back in the water before it flops around all over the place. So like we have to be, somewhat gentle, and I think we have to be gentle with ourselves, but we also have to be, gentle with others to an extent, but with boundary, right? Like having self-worth and having boundary, but not blaming people or shaming ourselves at the same time, right? So a lot of rebalancing with relationships, and what we have relationships to is crucial. And we'll take a look at Sunday. So Sunday, we're going to see Mars leave the first decan of Cancer. Interesting, coming off and separating more from the nodes and squaring these nodes during eclipse season. It's super interesting in a Mars in fall position. It just makes things a little bit more difficult than they need to be. Saturn comes to 14 degrees, but now we're in a 5-degree orb with the sextile between Mars and Saturn. So I think it's interesting to kind of think about the Mars-Saturn sextile in these water signs, and how emotion is such a driving factor right now, and it needs to be. And the funny thing about emotion is that there's really no truth in the now with emotion. There's things that we want to do, and we can want to even plan ahead a little bit. And the emotion around something can change in an instant. It can change in a day. It can change in 3 days. And I think we really want to double check with ourselves and make sure that when we do go to, go after and get after something right now, that our emotions are really into it, that we're feeling really, really passionate about something that is not only a soul spiritual effort or calling, but something that does make us feel like this is really us. This is really who I am. This is not a front. This is not a fake out. We're in Libra season now on Sunday. Happy fall equinox, everybody. We're here. We have changed seasons. We're starting new. Leaves are about to be falling. Venus disposits the sun in Libra for 1 day at 29, and it squares Pluto exactly. So the amount of like transformation that's taking place in terms of what we're building relationships to, and even the exterior things with Mars and Saturn, is very interesting. Because there's all these different relationships and contracts and handshake deals and all these different things that we have going on in life, plans that were made in Virgo season, that they very well could blow up. So we need to be like open, and it could blow up in ways where it's like emotionally you just don't want to do it anymore. Emotionally, you're like, wow, yeah, moon just crossed Uranus. Like, I kind of just want to liberate myself and do what I want to do. I don't really want to do what maybe I said I was going to do. So be open to that. The moon also comes into Gemini, which is mutable, and that brings some more change into the day and into the weekend. So Saturday kind of starts off maybe feeling similar to the past couple days, but in its own unique way, a little different. And then Sunday kind of like, yeah, things are really changing. There's a lot of things to start up on. Relationships to everything in life could be in question right now. And I think that that's something this eclipse is going to bring out too. And we want to be okay with like moving forward in life and continuing to spiral up. And trusting our intuition, trusting how we feel about things, but knowing that it can change. Knowing that like, yeah, you might be really into something, and maybe that's the time to do it. Maybe that's the time to start. Maybe that's the time to be excited and interested in something, is when you have that spark and that passion within you. But when you procrastinate it right now, or when you plan too far out or too far ahead, we're in too much of a mutable, changeable eclipse season time. And I know we're in a cardinal sign now of Libra, but it's still a very changeable energy. That we're okay with like the emotion changing. We might be so into something and feeling something, and then an hour later, a day later, a week later, that thing does not have the same feeling anymore. And I think that it's important to notice that, because there's so much good drive that can be found, and it can be like we're shifting gears into a really good energy, but it can also, be like our transmission is slipping. And we thought we were going to grab third and grab fourth and get going, but really like we're slipping. We didn't hit the clutch right in our life. We didn't time it right. So there is an interesting timing to what we're doing right now. And I don't even know if hardly anybody probably even drives a stick shift anymore. I feel like everything's an automatic, but I'm sure this audience knows what a stick shift is. Everybody's a little bit older than a teenager these days. But yeah, definitely a big shift in the fall equinox, and a lot of it is a rebalancing right now, because we've all become out of balance in some area in our life, and it's part of the adjustments that we made and things that we saw, and part of what we're feeling right now that's trying to readjust and revalue. And we can want to hold on to things way more than they need to be. Like, let certain things go. Let your leaves go. We talked about that on Friday's horoscope, right? We got to let the leaves go. It'll be good for us. I promise. There's new growth. There's new things to start. And we can build healthier, more aligned relationships to a lot of the things, such as Pluto and Capricorn. Big things we do want to accomplish, feeling a sense of purpose in life, and feeling like we do need to be in a really balanced state of integrity, and make sure that we're, not just giving out unfair rulings to people, but also not giving out unfair rulings to ourselves. Anyways, the moon will start out the day, of course, with that sextile to Neptune, where it was conjunct with during the lunar eclipse, coming into Gemini, and expression becomes a big thing. We're still in, Jupiter square Mercury. Mercury's also with Black Moon Lilith. So there can definitely be like a lot of, I feel like there could be potential for a little bit of like harsher things. Like, people are kind of sensitive right now, and there could be a sense of projection or trying to get things off their chest, and like, not everything needs to be taken so personal too. We definitely need to understand that like, it's a time where very many of us could be going through a lot of inner changes and a lot of external changes, and trying to figure out what the hell balance even is, and if it even exists anymore. Because the South Node in Libra is like, it's an illusion. Like, balance is kind of an illusion right now. It can be attained for moments at a time, And I think we want to be grateful for those moments where things are in alignment and balance, but realizing that they're going to shift and somebody else's scales could be way shifted. And it's good to, go back and forth and talk and communicate and see what facts we can get right now from people. What is your story? What is your truth to the moment right now? Not necessarily making it yours by being, strong in yours and staying dedicated to what is yours, but, being able to listen to people without just getting, angry or mad or upset. Because Mars here too. I mean, like Mars, our feelings, your feelings get hurt, you might get triggered. And feelings could definitely get hurt around people or whatever we have relationships to. It could be a lot of things. So we're having to be very, very careful. And I think relationships are definitely in a delicate place right now. And this is where, like, if you're in a relationship and it's something you love and it's somebody you love and it's like it's worth it and it has value to your life and it is identified as that value in your life, then we have to give grace to people too right now. And likewise though, if there's relationships going on right now and it's just not healthy and it's not bringing value into your life and you've identified that, this is pretty volatile energy. And it's interesting, it's interesting how that's going to go for people. I think that this is an extremely hard time to start a relationship with someone new and an extremely hard time to be in a relationship that's been struggling. And like there are going to be plenty of relationships that are solid and there's value there and they're going to be fine. But I mean, that line does feel more thin than the other two extremes. So Sunday's definitely mental. It's definitely trying to understand what's going to bring value. It's definitely trying to understand proper relationship dynamics, what's healthy for our soul, what's healthy for our physical, what's healthy for our body. Being okay with change and transformation and letting go and not spinning the mental wheels too much about it, but being open to ideas right now is really good too. We don't have to be know-it-alls for everything, but being open to things is good too, because you might just get something from someone else that is actually really helpful and has you understand yourself better. And maybe you can also understand someone else better and understand different things of what you want out of life better. So, room for positivity for the weekend for sure. See what the card is for the weekend. Appreciate you guys in the chat. It's cool. We got 43 people watching. Hit the like button if you haven't. 43 people, 25 likes. Card for the weekend is the Magician in reverse. Well, it's definitely an interesting weekend where there is a lot of magic and a lot of re-identification that we can find, and I think a lot of inner standing can be found, but at the same time, there's so much other energy from external places that is so intense right now, and shifting into the equinox and just change is intense right now that we could feel a little disconnected from a lot of our understanding of our own magic, our understandings of how we can alchemize a lot of lead situations into gold in our lives. And, the moment we start to feel like we don't have what it takes, or we can't make a better change or come into a better understanding and identification of who we are and what we want, that's the moment we got to really turn that mental fortitude on and really just make our brain, we got to change the way we think, right? We got to make our brain know that we have the tools, that we can be as abundant as we want to be, and we can have the things that we want to have, and we can have all of it. Got to believe that about ourselves and be willing to make necessary changes and not feel like there's no magic left for us. All right, back at it. It's Monday, September 23rd. And Monday's a little interesting. It's Moon Jupiter. So definitely amplified feelings, but also amplified thoughts, amplified mental things going on, and like definitely a lot of things that we need to maybe re-understand or learn. We are going to start to see the moon square Mercury by the end of the day, and Mercury's finally pulling off a little bit from that Jupiter square. So it's kind of like there's like moments of feeling like, oh, I have the understanding and I did kind of get the knowing and the download and it makes sense. And then there's also moments of not having that clarity like we wanted it, not sort of, I don't know, not sort of feeling like things make as much sense as maybe they started to in the morning. Maybe there's this big aha moment, and then it's like we question things later in the evening. But we want to be honest. This isn't a good time to be a trickster, and especially dealing with people. It's Libra season now. The sun's approaching the south node. Venus is now done in Libra. It finishes up Sunday night, comes into fall position, detriment position, not fall, in Scorpio, and still square Pluto, which disposits Scorpio, that Venus. And it does change the whole dynamic of the south node. And especially coming in with that square to Pluto, it's so intense. And I think that's where the alchemization comes into play too. Like, we got to dig deep to get good quality in life right now. And we got to be willing to, again, let things die that don't belong anymore. So this is where, again, like Scorpio rules death, right? But it's also rebirth. So it's kind of heightening that nothing just dies. Like, it's just making room for new energy. But it's kind of harsh and critical, and can definitely bring a lot of tension or a lot of like psychological things. And this is where I think it's so mental on Monday, that in between eclipse season, like this is where we can start to feel a little psychotic in some ways, getting way too overly obsessive, spinning our wheels. And we definitely want to be more introspective about it, get out of our mind a little bit so that we can see and understand things better and find some like feeling that gives us clarity. And that feeling could be super helpful for sure. The moon's also going to square Saturn in the morning, kind of right when we wake up Monday morning, which doesn't necessarily like bring great, start the day vibes. It definitely can feel like, oh, Monday. Can't believe I gotta go do all this stuff today. But it's like, it's good to kind of challenge ourselves right now, challenge ourselves for growth, challenge ourselves for more understanding of our depth, or more depth of value that we can acquire and manifest and create in life. And more depth within ourselves is what brings more balance into our life. It's what brings a better aesthetic. When we feel better inside, life just looks prettier. Everything just looks better the better we feel about ourselves. It's funny how that works, but it definitely does. So, again, the feeling is where it's at. The Mars starting to work on this, long trine for the next week, plus with Saturn, Venus in Scorpio, which Mars also disposits that. Like, the feeling is so important right now. We need to feel things deeply so that we can transform, so that we can get into alignment, because we're not fully out of it Monday, but we're approaching getting out of a ton of mental energy with all the Virgo season and Gemini we had, and Mars Jupiter meeting in Gemini. We're starting to shift out of a mental place into a more feeling oriented place. And yes, we're having a solar eclipse in Libra, which is an air sign, but still there's a lot that's saying like you gotta feel everything right now to make the proper changes. And the feelings can be intense, they can be powerful, they can be a lot of things. We have to use it in a very like emotionally intelligent way. And I think what we do, we'll be able to respond in ways and act on things that are crucial for our success, crucial for our goals, and really help us see all the abundance, that is out there. So I hope that, Monday's a day where we're really starting to shift mindset more into a place of abundance and feeling that deep, just a deep feeling of I can, and a deep feeling of truth, and a deep feeling of knowing that things are going to transform and change, and that you're good with that because you have your truth, you can express your values, and that you're really in a place of feeling like a warrior right now. And it can be hard with a North Node in Aries and a Chiron in Aries and a Mars in Cancer. It's hard to feel like a strong, just, I got this, because there's just so many different emotions and thoughts that are trying to help you avoid balance and help you avoid beauty for yourself and for others. And we gotta work. It takes work right now, but the work is worth it. That's the thing with Mars square Saturn. The work is worth it, and you will get rewarded if you're able to understand yourself better, express yourself better, relate that with people better, draw boundaries. Boundaries are good. It's good to have boundaries. Don't discount how important a boundary can be for yourself right now. Because if you're just going to give in to everybody else, you're going to feel like everything's being taken from you. And you're going to feel abandoned, left out in the cold, and it doesn't have to be that way. Because you're going to be a warrior right now and feel strong and emotionally steady in who you are. And that's just where magic happens right now. Because we're in a time of big shift with this equinox. Venus coming into Scorpio, square Pluto, is intense. Intense. So, remember, your truth is the most important truth, but it's good to go back and forth with other people and see what else is going on out there. But have your boundaries up. Even having a lunar eclipse in Pisces, like with Neptune, you know how vulnerable we are right now to things that aren't ours? Like, we could take so much in that isn't ours, and it's just self-undoing at that point, because we got to take accountability for even that. For even letting something that isn't ours come in, and then it triggers us, we have to take accountability for that. It's still not time to be like, oh, that was because this, and that, and the other. So, a lot of accountability, a lot of boundaries. Express, talk, communicate how you feel. We don't have to keep everything buried and then become a volcano and just... But maybe we do. maybe some volcanoes need to explode too. So if they do, they do. Let them. But take accountability for it. Don't feel like, something exploded in your life and it had nothing to do with you, right? Right. All right, card for Monday. Six of Swords. Gotta go on over to the other side. What is the other side in our life right now? Maybe this is a, intense Monday to kind of find where we're going, and to be okay with leaving things behind, to go and see if the grass is greener on the other side, to go see what the new season looks like, and to not hold on to things. And I think that's the biggest test right now with Venus square Pluto and Venus coming into Scorpio, is like, are we okay with letting go? Are we okay with moving forward and moving on to something new? Or are we just going to feel like somehow abandoned or betrayed? And like, I don't know. It's an interesting card. It's not like the most like happy card, right? But it is like knowing what's better, and having the mental clarity to go there, even if it's a little A little scary, a little new. But new things are always a little scary, right? And then we try new things, and then we're stoked that we did it. And then we're not thinking about so much how we were scared, but we're thinking about how proud we are that we went through something that scared us so that we could do something new and something better and feel like we progressed. So it's definitely a time of like moving into progression on Monday. And Tuesday, September 24th, we are definitely within 5 degrees of that south node with the sun. The moon's going to come into Cancer, and dignified moon definitely could feel, it's going to feel emotional. It's going to start squaring the nodes, and we're really at the midpoint of eclipse season. And it's also square the sun. It's going to square Mercury right before it comes in. So it's kind of a stressed out moon, even though it's in Cancer where it wants to feel safe and secure. But what is safety and security? And what is home? And in some ways right now, home is what you make it and what you identify with. And safety and, feeling good is what you want to identify with that feels good. And I think that that's like a big test, is like external things kind of trying to say, oh, you're not safe, you're not secure, you shouldn't feel good about something. And they could probably give you a whole, they could serve you, if we're looking at Libra as the court, they could serve you, with a whole list of things, of reasons why you shouldn't identify with something good. And you got to go before the judge if you want to do the thing that is going to feel good for you. But it's not like that. Like, you're the judge of your life. So you have to make calls and like judgments to feel good about what you're doing and where you're at, even if it doesn't look that way. You have to know what's good for yourself so that you can get there. And it's interesting. This is the first time I've done horoscopes, right? As an astrologer professionally, with a South Node in Libra, because I started in 2019. And the South Node in Libra is so interesting. Just with people and our relationships. And life is all about relationships. It's a huge part of our life, are the people that we're connected to. And it's a weird thing with Venus now in Scorpio of almost wanting so many answers or so much help. Like somebody, we're going to merge with somebody and we're going to do something and it's going to be the thing and it's not really my thing, but I'm a part of something. And there's like a collective, energy to that is beautiful, but like right now it's not like ideal. And even just, what's liberating and justified for someone else just doesn't need to be that for you. It's just knowing what's you right now. And that's a hard one. Sometimes it's hard to know who we are. And I've heard a lot of people ask that question or come to me and say, like, I just want to know who I am, or I don't even know who I am anymore. And I've said that to myself. I don't even know who I am anymore. So we really want to, on Tuesday, remember who we are, for one, and to not be persuaded and manipulated by maybe the extreme desires and wants and needs of somebody else, or what is going to make somebody else's life more balanced. But really, what's going to be balanced for you? Because even with Chiron there, you're going to feel like you took big leaps and bounds healing if you are able to identify with what's good for you. And yes, nurture others, but only if you feel good. You can be a caretaker right now, absolutely. But if that's what you've identified with as your role and you know that that's your purpose right now, of course you can take care of other people. Of course you can. But if you haven't identified that and you're just doing it because you feel like you're being guilt-tripped into it, or you were, summoned to, go to jury duty for someone else, like, put those things into perspective right now. Like, what you identify with is important, of the utmost. Mars is at 11 degrees, so that trine to Saturn's getting tight. And I do think that once we have identified what does feel good and who we are and what we want to do, there's really beautiful opportunities to build right now. And you can like build off a lot of things that your soul wants you to build off of, that karmically you're ready to build off of. And a lot of it could be dharma stuff too, of like getting, doing a very good job of not self-undoing and hurting yourself by slipping backwards right now, but really evolving and mutating in ways that are very powerful and giving you the best opportunity to have beauty in your life because you've earned it. So a lot of this right now is like you get rewarded when you earn it. And you earn it by being like very secure about yourself and knowing what's best for you and knowing that you don't have to merge and join forces with things that are not in alignment with that, in alignment with you. So it's, Mercury's ripping right now. So Tuesday, Wednesday night's going to be one of the final days of Mercury, going almost 2 degrees per day in its home sign, very strong Mercury. And then it's going to come into Libra, and it's going to make the superior conjunction with the sun. And we're going to have all that with the south node and a solar eclipse with the south node and lots of big identifications about how to rebalance our lives and realizing how out of balance we were, which is a beautiful thing to identify so that we can rebalance in a harmonious way. But it's only harmonious if you're strong within yourself and feeling dedicated for the things that are the foundation of who you are. Because that power is deep. And if there's a positive thing about Venus here, is that when you deeply understand and know your worth and your value, that passion is so strong and it can move mountains. So we're really having to check with our own soul values and the foundation of who we are so that we can move mountains in our life and really relate to the big things that we want, and that the big things take time too. And it's okay to take time right now. Nothing has to happen overnight, but a lot of moving of the scales and definitely a lot of shifts as we come into next week and the weekend through Tuesday, really. What's up, everybody? Glad you guys have been liking the horoscopes. Swimming through the void. God, I love your channel. I was looking for a new tarot reader and you popped up here and your readings have like blown me away. I haven't like watched tarot for probably 2 years because I was just like, I don't know, nobody's really doing it for me right now. And the last 2 Capricorn readings you put out were just like, that's my dude. That's my dude now. So appreciate you, man. If you don't, check out his channel. He's an amazing tarot reader. What's up, Raven? Angel, Gem, Donna, Steph, Gail. Mistel, Queen Victor. Appreciate you guys. All right, Moon in reverse for Tuesday, which is fitting with a lot of the things. Moon coming into Cancer. Just there's a scary sort of energy, I think, with a moon reversed. It's a little fearful of our own like creepy crawlies that we got to deal with, and there could be a lot of purging right now and a lot of inner standing and inner work that's trying to help us lose things in life that are really just counterweights to what we really want to be and how we really want to feel. And I think that the intuition's an interesting thing right now because it has moments of truth, and I think when those truths are acted on and you're courageous enough and strong enough in that I think that it's really potent, but I feel like there's also something about intuition right now where if you slip on it, like if you get it but you don't do anything and then you think you can act on it, down the road or another time, that it like it kind of missed the boat, and that you'll feel like you didn't get, the proper reading on it. So there's an interesting thing about acting on our intuition and our feelings right now, because it's almost like we need that emotional oomph to do it and to feel it. And if we wait on it, then it can change, and then it's like it kind of just disperses and goes away. So take that for what it's worth. And yeah, love and appreciate you guys. I hope that this was helpful. I hope it was fun to be in the chat and watch the live. If you want to take me up on the sale, you got time, but email or DM me on Instagram. And what else do I got? Oh yeah, I hope everybody has a great weekend and a great start to next week. I'll be back Wednesday with the regular scheduled programming on this channel. Yeah, had to do this because of time constraints, but appreciate you all. Wishing you all the best. Sending you all my love. Let's go find our magic. Let's go rebalance our lives. Let's get in tune with our values. Feel strong, safe, secure. All the things we need right now, because we need to be warriors. And it's hard to be a warrior right now. There's a lot of resistance to being a strong individual. All right. I love you guys. Have a beautiful rest of your Friday and have a beautiful weekend. Much love. Peace.